Silver and gold investors, we are in the midst of a very good time right now. For us, silver and gold investors, the rest of the world could be in for some very difficult times, but we're hearing people talk about $50 silver before the elections. I was talking with a prominent figure from the precious metals community last night, and he told me that he had heard Michael Oliver is talking about the fact that we could get $50 silver like in real soon. Now, he's not always right. Nobody's always right. But the fact remains that we are in a position right now, excuse me, that is looking very, very good. I'm going to go over the reasons why in this video. We got a lot to talk about. There is so much going on. It's a big deal you're here, but I never, ever do this. We have something very important to talk about. I've never begged you to help support anybody, including us here in the basement. But one of our good friends, CoinShop Chris, finds himself in a very difficult situation right now. You know what's been on the news for the last week. And CoinShop Chris, who all of you know, has been severely impacted by what is unfolding. On top of that, he's taking care of an elderly relative. I'm going to ask you, because I can tell you this from the bottom of my heart. CoinShop Chris has helped out so many people in the precious metals community. Anytime anyone has reached out to him, he has gone way out of his way to be helpful, to give information, and he always does that without expecting anything in return. So I'm going to pull up his PayPal address. He is incurring some pretty serious expenses right now, as you might imagine. If you want to do something nice, if you want to help CoinShop Chris, that is his PayPal handle, I guess you would call it, cparis922 at paypal.com. I'll pull it up later. I'll have it in the description of this video, and I think I put out a community post as well. Let's all help CoinShop Chris. Don't donate any money you can't afford to donate. But if you want to do something nice, even the smallest amount would be helpful. And I guarantee you, he will be back on YouTube. He has a channel that he started, CoinShop Chris. But right now, trust me, he cannot make videos, but he promises all of us that he will be back. Okay, let's get back to this live stream. Why are we so excited about the prospects right now for gold and silver? Let's start with this, because this is an absolute thing of beauty. We're going to focus on silver, but the gold chart is just as good. This is a 1-year chart of silver. Guys, we are at the precipice. We are at the launch pad for much, much higher silver and gold prices. Look at this line right here. That is the battle line, and we are right at it, right at this $31, $32, $32.50 range. I could draw all kinds of lines on there, but the point is that we have been battling and fighting to break through $32 per ounce on silver, and it's undeniable when we break through 32, 33, 34, and we stay there, we are going to shoot to the moon. There is no one out there that I'm hearing that says, oh, once we get to $35 silver, we're going to have a pullback. No. When we get above 32, 33, 34, 35, buckle up, Buttercup, because we are going to go on a wild ride in the silver market. Guys, silver has hit $50 twice in the past. Okay. It did it in 1980. What is that? 45 years ago, 44 years ago, silver hit $50 in 2011. Okay. That's before my twin daughters were born, and they're almost 12 years old. So to think that it can't happen again, and cannot happen very quickly. Okay. Very quickly, whether it happens over the course of a month or 6 months, it doesn't matter. Actually, we might want it to happen more like over the course of 6 months. So it's more of a steady increase instead of a rocket ship all the way to the top. But nonetheless, it can happen. It's going to happen. Look at this. Let's pull this up. I heard Dave Kranzler last night talking about this. This is the cup and handle formation in the silver market. 44 years. Dave Kranzler said that. Dave Kranzler is like a guy that flies a little bit under the radar, but one of the smartest analysts out there in the precious metals market. And for some reason, when he said it's a 44-year cup and handle in silver, it really hit me. You know, when something like but like you kind of forgot, and then you hear it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a big deal. Okay. 1980, like we just said, $50 silver, 2011, $50 silver. Today, we are in the handle of the cup and handle, and embedded within that handle, there's wedge patterns, inverse head and shoulders. It's absolutely crazy. Here's another great way to look at it from Kimball Charting Solutions. And this is a chart from 2018. But guys, so it's even better, way better now. But that shows the cup, right, between 1980 and 2011. You see the steam coming off. You know, we'll have a sip of coffee here together in a second, guys. And the handle, guys, there's really no other way to look at this than as being absolutely bullish for the price of gold and silver. And when we look at some of the underlying crazy fundamentals, how many dollars are being printed right now, right, for each 1 ounce of silver that's being created? Well, we have an answer for that because it is absolutely skyrocketing. We can't help but look at this ratio that look, it was 711 or 10 minutes ago when I pulled this up. The dollar, let me zoom in for you here. Hold on. We need to see this in big scale, baby. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're going to go over and we're going to look at the dollar to silver ratio. See my finger? Hold on. Yes, you see my finger. 712. It was like 640 3 weeks ago. It was 0 not too long ago. Guys, for every 1 ounce of silver that's being produced in the entire world, the United States government is printing over 712 to be exact, paper dollars. Now, that doesn't mean that, oh, absolutely, silver should be at $700 an ounce. But what it does mean is that the paper money just continues to be printed like at an infinite scale, which, come on, doesn't it? It's common sense to realize if you just keep printing something into infinity, in terms of its scarcity, in terms of its value, it only goes down. Other big breaking news this morning. On the U.S. national debt clock, we are getting super close to another $100 billion in debt. Why is that important, right? We were just at 35 trillion, 600 billion, 4 or 5 weeks ago? For each $100 billion in debt, my mathematics show that you have incurred an additional, for each 100 billion, you as an individual, every citizen, including the little babies that are being born right now, are incurring an additional $300 in debt. And this seems to be, it is happening on a very regular basis, way, way, way too frequent of a basis. Now, if we look back at silver, let's go take a look at what our friend, the Oriental Ghost, all right, there he is. Doesn't he look like a nice guy? Basement dweller. We love him. Oriental Ghost. If we just check on the Chinese silver price from Friday, okay, the Shanghai Gold Exchange, and I emphasize the high because it's always higher. This is a physical silver. See the AG? That's silver. SGE, Shanghai Gold Exchange, $33.60. And that's the physical price of silver in China. Let's take a look at where we closed here in the United States. Go to our friends at Pimbex, and we closed for $31.50. It's a big, massive deal. Have you noticed how resilient, how powerful, how strong both the silver and the gold price have been? I mean, I don't know how long it's been, months, feels like now. Like they beat it down, but they can't even really beat it down very far, and it just bounces right back. Later, we're going to talk about why people are saying we could go to $3,000 gold in an instant. But right now, what I want to tell you about is channel sponsor Pimbex, Pimbex. You're at their website. It's an online bullion dealer. So if you want to buy silver, gold, or platinum group metals, check out Pembex, compare them to what the other big online bullion dealers can offer you. And I think you'll find what I've always found. Pembex has ultra competitive pricing. I always get more metal for my money. There's a great selection. They always have what I want. And it's a company that I can trust. Now you need to experience that for yourself. You need to do your own investigative work. Read the reviews. I'll give you my testimonial, which is I've had nothing but absolute great experience with Pembex over the last year as I've made multiple purchases from them. And basement dwellers, this is super important. Okay, please don't get ripped off. Okay, please, if you ever decide to convert part or all of an IRA, an individual retirement account, into precious metals, there's a lot of fancy celebrity endorsed companies on the cable news networks. And I want you to please, I'm not telling you who to work with, who not to work with, but please take your time as if you do that and compare what the different companies can do for you. Talk to the guys at Pembex. Ask them what they can do for you. And at the end of the day, compare how many actual ounces of, let's say, American Silver Eagles or Gold Eagles you're going to get for whatever amount of money you may be considering to convert. Compare it amongst them all. Take your time. I think if you talk to Pembex, you'll be shocked at what they can do for you. Now, let's go on here, guys. The big deal, the big news, and I've not been able to dig up what happened, but this weekend, China is impacting the silver price and the gold price pretty much more than anybody right now. Well, India, but anyway, China is a big, big deal. We're supposed to hear today about their latest update on their stimulus program. Why is that a big deal? Because just last week, remember that day where we had the silver price drop by what was it? $1.50? That was because there was suspicion, there was fear that China was going to pull back a bit on their stimulus. So this does have a major impact short term on the price of silver and gold. But we're supposed to hear more this weekend from the Chinese government. And some people think that it could be very, very positive for the silver price and the gold price. I mean, China, I was talking with Chris Marcus from Arcadia Economics last night, and we spent about a half hour talking about the silver price. And by the time I was done, I'm like, well, I just talked myself into buying more silver. Don't forget what Citibank recently said about silver in China. Citibank themselves said that the Chinese citizens are starting to buy silver as an investment. I know one thing for a fact when it comes to the silver price, and I have to give credit to the guy, Jeff Christian from the CPM Group, because I heard him say this first, is that in the next 6 months, the component that can absolutely drive the silver price much higher, way higher, is going to be investment demand. Because, guys, investment demand has been minuscule, muted over the last few years. Okay, but the good news, think about this, and it's a good thing, and I'll tell you the reason why that's a good thing. Because with this muted, pathetic overall investor demand for silver, did you notice something? The silver price did really well without any help, actually with no help from the investment community. If the Chinese public, just 1 in 500, start to buy a little more silver, remember there's 1.4 billion people in China. It could be massive if the Western investors, which are now just starting to show interest in buying silver again, when they come to the scene, it could be absolute unbelievable returns coming for this. It's that factor that's not been there for the last 2 or 3 years. Indian farmers. Do you know there's 100 million Indian farmers? Why would we care about Indian farmers? Well, we care about everybody because we're nice people. Oh, and by the way, thank you, yes, you, for being here right now. Forgot the most important part of the show, recognizing you. I see you. You're with me here in the basement, 500 of us on a Saturday morning. It is a big deal. We love to talk about silver and gold. You're always welcome here. You're part of the club. Welcome. But you need to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Thumbs up are always super appreciated, as are super chats and that. But Indian farmers, there's 100 million Indian farm families. Indian farmers buy silver when they have a good harvest, right? And I got some good news coming for you, right? What the Indian, I think they're rice farmers. What do? They store their wealth in silver. They've been doing this for hundreds of years, right? I've heard about this for decades. Guess what? There's an awesome harvest coming up in India. It was a good monsoon season, whatever that means. I guess that's when it rains, and they're expecting. So if we have 100 million Indian farmers and they all buy 3 ounces of silver, that's 300 million. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just showing you how delicate the silver market is and how it can, this is a big deal right now, what we're living through in the silver and the gold markets. No way about it. Let's go take a look at this. This came from Peter Kreff, the guy that wrote the book on silver. Here we go. This is what a stealth bull market looks like in silver and gold. Okay, look at this. Look at the silver price. This is 1 year returns as of September 30th. So just 12 days ago. Spot silver year to date up 30%. Over the last 12 months, 40%. The silver miners up big. That's in the blue. Look at gold. Over the last 12 months, up 42%. Okay, the gold mining stocks. Now compare that to the S&P 500, to the Vanguard. Why is this a big deal? Because as the general investing community, including the big hedge funds, including the sovereign wealth funds, including wealthy individuals, including the Costco dads, including any of these people, right? When they start to recognize just how powerful this rally is in the silver and gold market, it will only bring more people in, and it is such a small market. Guys, there's only 1 billion ounces of silver produced in the whole world every stinking year. 1 billion. Now that's a lot. Yeah, it may not compare much to your stack that you've got in your basement, but to most of us, 1 billion would be a big stack. But in compared to the world market, 1 billion ounces of silver is nothing. What is that? $30 billion? Right? We talked about yesterday. All the money the people that just Americans have in their money market accounts, 6.5 trillion. If 1% of that money that's in money market accounts, 1%, right, were to come out of the money market accounts and go into silver, that could buy the entire world's silver production for 1 year. It could buy it 2 times over, $65 billion. It's astounding where we sit right now, right? This market is not big. It's a fraction. I think Apple Computer, probably with the cash they have, could buy the entire silver market. It's not going to take a lot, and we could have major, massive, big moves in the silver market in particular. Gold's bigger, okay? But gold works under different dynamics, no doubt about it. And silver, as we know, is very related to gold. But this silver market is primed and ready to go. $50 silver in weeks, it can happen. Not making strong predictions. I'm saying $44 silver by Christmas. I stand by that. Okay, I'll eat crow on Christmas morning if I'm wrong. But what a night. Wouldn't that be a wonderful Christmas morning live stream? And I'll be here, even if it's just for 10 minutes. You can count on me. I'm no Santa Claus, but I will show up on Christmas. That we'll have a live stream, and man, $44. We'll have a little Christmas morning party together. Won't that be fun? Won't that be fun? Let's see here. So the China thing's a big deal. On top of that, there is such manipulation in the silver market. There are people who spent their careers, right, working, toiling to prove that the COMEX and the LBMA are cheaters, right? The big bullion banks are cheaters, cheaters. We don't like cheaters. No, right? Nobody likes cheaters. We like a fair, level playing field, but that's not been the case for the silver market. Wait till you see this most recent information that I can find about the short position in the silver market. This comes from our friend Make Gold Great Again. Here he says, right here, let's highlight it. There are now 665 million ounces short. Okay, most of it's naked shorts, one of the largest concentrated short positions in history. He says it feels like $32.75 silver is what the shorts are desperate to defend and avoid getting a silver squeeze. Guys, there are big, powerful entities out there that do not want the silver price to go over $32, $50, $33 per ounce. We really are in an epic battle right now. But unfortunate for some of them, the playing field has changed. Let's take a look at this real quick. That would be a modified picture of Jamie Dimon with silver, tightly fitting boxer shorts on. It says silver shorts are about to be exposed, now at 665 million ounces. I've never been a big fan of Jamie Dimon, okay? Absolutely never a big fan of JP Morgan, right? They've manipulated, they've been convicted, right? Last year before, right? They had two of their traders convicted of manipulating the precious metals market. That's not fair. That's not right. And this country was built on and succeeded on, to the extent that it could, providing a fair and level playing field. So look, 660 million ounces short in silver. The key to remember here, the reason why that's a huge deal is that if we get above $33, $34 per ounce silver, all those people that had sold silver short, right? They sold all that. And look how good the price has done in the face of all that sales, all that 660 million. But guess what? Buttercup, Bullion Bank, I got news for you. You got to cover your shorts. And what does covering shorts mean? Covering shorts means you have to buy back the silver. And it, guys, if it gets to $36, $37, this picture that we just saw, hold on here, right? It's going to have a big brown stain down there because they are going to be, I can't think of how to say this with keeping this a family-friendly show. They're going to be very nervous. Excuse me. Let's all have a sip of coffee. Sorry about that. Hey guys, don't forget, please consider helping out Coin Shop Chris. He really is in a bad, difficult position right now. He will come back, right? Remember, he has his own YouTube channel. If you can't donate anything, I want you to get a pen and paper right now and write down Coin Shop Chris. And after this live stream, after you watch this video, go into the YouTube search bar, type in Coin Shop Chris, send him a message or subscribe to his channel. Just that might help lift his spirits. All right, let's move on. And he may call in a little bit. I'm not sure that he is. We'll see how that works out. Gold defies the odds. Okay. This is... we could see a massive new wave of money coming into the gold market, and that will mean silver market as well. I'm going to explain to you why, the reasons why, and give you some examples right now. Let's go see what our good friend Niels, we love Niels at Kitco, had to say. Okay, gold is defying the odds yet again, and we talked about that. They just can't keep it down. They can't beat it down. We got like what, 3 weeks till an election? The big BRICS meeting coming up. And now we have some major catalyst on the horizon. Did you hear this? And we'll get back to this article, but I need to look at you for this one. This made sense to me. Let me know if this makes sense to you. But I heard a top analyst say this just the other day. It's not the period, actually, we all thought the period leading up to the election, right, that we'll have here in the United States, Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, that the period leading up to the election could be crazy. No. And I hadn't thought about this. It's the period, obviously, it makes sense. Hopefully this makes sense to you as well. It's the period after the election that we have to worry about. That's when all the real turmoil could break out. And I was like, you know what? That's right. Because both sides are thinking, my guy's going to win, or my gal, whatever, is going to win. It's the period after the election where we could have some real uncertainty in this country, turmoil, right? Because that's when people are going to go nutso, potentially. I hope not. I live here, but nonetheless, I think that's something that we haven't necessarily given too much consideration to. All of that in the backdrop of coming off the massive BRICS meeting, right, where the world could be talking about moving to a gold standard. I mean, that could have massive ramifications for the value of the dollar, for the value of silver and gold. And on top of that, we're going to talk about this in a little bit. The Middle East is nuts right now. Talk about uncertainty. Guys, it is getting to be absolutely nuts. But I promised you that we'd look and see what Neil said, and a big bonus feature, why gold can go to $3,000 very quickly, coming at you very soon. But he says gold defies the odds yet again. Okay. Although generalist investors continue to ignore the gold market. Again, that's a good thing. That's like an ace in the hole, right? Like, we know that's going to come back. The price action has been exciting to watch. The precious metals continue to defy the odds as shallow corrections are consistently bought. Shallow corrections are consistently bought. Analysts note that gold investors have had every reason to take profits, every reason to push the gold price down as expectations around the Federal Reserve's monetary policy continue to swing wildly. Let's go out here and see. Hold on, let me have a drink of water. I'll be right back. Let's go out here and take a look right now at what this is the CME FedWatch tool. Our next meeting is not for 26 days. Oh, I have a tickle in my throat. I apologize. Right now, we have the current rate is right there at the top. Current target rate, 4.75 to 5.0. Looks like there is a 90% chance. This is a quarter of a point, 0.25% decrease in rates at the next meeting. And and there's 0% chance of a 50 basis points, a 0.5% cut, but it looks like they're now saying a 10% chance of no rate cut. So guys, this is a big deal, because in that environment, they're saying now that at the next Fed meeting, we're only going to get a 0.25 point rate cut, 90% chance. There's 0% chance of a 0.5% rate cut, but there's a 10% chance that we will get no rate cut, zero rate cut. The gold price should be down $200 if it gave a crap, excuse my language, if it cared about the Fed. Gold doesn't care. Silver don't care about the Fed anymore. Silver and gold don't care that the Western investors haven't shown up at the party, but are they about to show up at the party? Are they about to show up at the party? Let's go back to Neil's. Excuse me, guys. Really embarrassing. I apologize. Okay. It all started Friday. We had a good jobs report, monetary policy. Hold on. Here we go. Although investors' expectations for aggressive easing have been pared back, analysts have noted that the gold market is much bigger than a single monetary policy decision. While we might not see another 50 basis point rate cut soon, it is clear that the Fed will continue to ease rates even as inflation remains. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets interesting. Last month, 1.3 billion worth of gold flowed into North American listed funds compared to global inflows of 1.4 billion. This typical price action we've seen in gold markets, said the World Gold Council, noted that the trend is still relatively new. Historically, gold prices have risen by 6% in the first 6 months of a new easing cycle. Why is this a big deal? Why are we paying attention? Because our good friend, Phil Stribel at Blue Line Futures, he points this out, and I've heard him say it a couple times. People don't start buying the gold and I would imagine silver ETFs until about 30 days after the Fed cuts rates. Okay, we are not even there yet. We're getting there. What's it been? 2.5 weeks? But we're going to see a massive amount of new money, if history repeats, and it almost always does, coming into the gold and silver ETFs. So that will be a big deal. Now, I want to show you something that I think is just absolutely astounding. Think about a little money coming into the gold and silver ETFs, but this is mind-numbing. And this shows us unequivocally that we could have, right? Peter Schiff recently said, right? $12,000 gold, $14,000 gold, $26,000 gold. He said gold went from $20 to $2,600. Why can't it go from $2,600 to $26,000 or even $100,000? And this is why. This came from the Hedgeless Horseman, but Tavi Costa originally posted this from Crescott Capital. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Gold and gold miners as a percentage of total global assets. And the numbers on silver are probably even more extreme. But look at this. Look how in the past, right, the amount of money in gold and gold miners as a percent of total global assets has been 28%, 20%, 30%. Even in 1981, 26%. Right now, 1%. I mean, if we just went back to 1981 and gold miners represented, let's say, 25%, we won't care. We won't demand to get back to 26%. To get back to 25%. Guys, that would be 25 times more money in the precious metals markets and in the precious metal mining stocks. If this number even goes to 5%, that's 5 times the amount of money. Do you realize what that would do to the precious metals prices? It would be absolutely explosive. I mean, it really, truly is mind-numbing, right? That nobody in. Look, here's what's going to happen. Here's how it's going to play out. That money will come into gold and silver. Gold and silver, and here's the reasons why, have been stores of value for thousands of years. Have you heard that like thousands of times? At minimum in the basement, right? But that's true. They've been a reliable store of value for thousands and thousands of years. People are going to freak. Remember what we said earlier. $6.5 trillion in money market funds right now in the United States. That's safe money. That's money that people don't want to put at risk. That's money that people don't want to put in the stock market, into the real estate market, into the bond market. When that money that's in that 6.5 trillion that's in those money market funds, when inflation explodes, and people realize they're now losing money on that money in the money market funds, they're not going to put it in the stock market. They're not going to put it in the real estate market. Every time I think about my throat tickling, it tickles more. They're not going to put it into the real estate market. They're going to be looking. They're not going to want to keep it in a money market account. they're gonna start realizing silver and gold, and that's when we can see some really incredible numbers. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, 800 of us. Remember, Susie locks the door at 800. You're part of the club. Welcome. All right. It's going to be just an incredible situation when things get rectified. On top of that, we've got the Chinese and the Indian people and governments buying more and more and more. We have Russia, their government. Did you hear that? You probably did, but if you didn't, there was a big news story this week. The Russian government is buying silver. First time ever. First time since I've been following silver that I've heard of any government buying silver. Is that the beginning of a trend? It's going to continue to be unbelievable. Oh, I got mad. I forgot. I got to tell you guys a story. Somebody stole 6 ounces of silver from me. 6 ounces. So I've got a great friend who's a great mechanic, and I have a Toyota Camry that needed a new thermostat put in. And I do a lot of my own car work. I'm a big proponent of it, but this one required draining the antifreeze, and it was a little bit out of my wheelhouse. So I asked my buddy, and the dealership wanted like $600 to do this. And I asked my buddy, I said, hey, I'll give you a couple $100 and pay for the part. Will you do it? He said, yeah, sure thing, Ronnie. He also happens to be a bit of a silver stacker, and he has a grandson, anyway, who's 11 years old. And I said, do you want me to pay you in silver, or do you want me to pay you with cash? And I said, I'll pay you in cash for the parts that you buy. He said, yeah, let me ask my grandson. His grandson, he's 11 or 12 years old, came back and said, get the silver. So yesterday I took the car over to his house, and he's a great mechanic. He got done, and I had to hand over 6 ounces of silver. Glad to do it. I saved money. My buddy, I paid him for cash with the parts, but the kid got 6 ounces of silver from his awesome grandpa, and I thought, this is the way it should work, right? And I told him, I was joking, it's just a great guy. It's so nice to have good friends, right? I mean, because really it saved me couple $100, and he made, his grandson made off with a couple $100 worth of silver, and the silver was sitting there. And I said, you know what? I hope a year from now that silver's worth twice as much. And I think it really could be. So anyway, I'm just joking. I wasn't mad at the kid. I thought it was pretty awesome that this young kid told his grandpa to take silver from me. Can we get $3,000 gold in an instant? Guys, hold on a second here. Okay. CoinShop Chris is not going to be able to join us. He's in a bad situation, but he says he will be back. He'll be back on his channel. He'll be back on our channel ASAP. $3,000. This situation in Iran, this situation in Israel is big. Now I've heard 2 analysts say that if this escalates, we could get $3,000 gold in an instant. Let's back up, because we need to realize something. We're not wanting, I don't want $3,000 gold on the back of people dying. There's no other way to say it, right? I know that you don't either, but we're just talking about what is going on, what's happening out there in the market, okay? So let's look at this, a couple quick news stories. We already looked at that. It says right now, Iran, and this is the breaking news, Iran has threatened to attack their oil-rich Arab Gulf states, their neighbors, and U.S. allies in the Middle East if their land or airspace is used for an attack on Iran. So Iran has come out and said basically to all the countries in the Middle East, if you allow Israel to use your airspace to attack us, we basically consider ourselves to be at war. I used to get in trouble because I'd say war with you. That's a big, big deal. We don't know if it's going to play out this weekend, if anything, but Iran is serious. Iran is telling, I think the United Arab Emirates and a couple, like, if you allow that to happen, that would be a major, major escalation of that situation. And we got enough going on with the election and everything else, but let's just look at the details of what they're saying. This comes from NBC News. Iran warns its neighbors not to help Israel. Okay, now we go down here. From Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, bracing itself for a retaliatory strike from Israel. Iran has been urging its Arab neighbors not to allow Israel to use their airspace. Two diplomats from Gulf nations told NBC News on Friday Israel vowed to respond to last week's ballistic missile attack by Iran, prompting Iran to warn countries that helping Israel in any way would potentially escalate into war. One of the diplomats said. Both asked not to be named because they were not authorized to speak publicly about sensitive issues. Okay, they say they want to de-escalate, blah, blah, blah. Everybody says we want to de-escalate, we want a ceasefire, but the reality is then things get worse. Now, if that happens, and we do not want this to happen, right? I know people that are deployed, American soldiers in the region. It's scary, but if it happens, it could throw, it could be scary. All right. We got enough going on right now. We don't need any more. So let's keep all those people in our thoughts and prayers. We talked about the CME FedWatch tool. Okay, guys, this is big. Only a 90% chance that we're only going to get a quarter point rate cut at the next meeting, and now a growing chance that we won't get any. The gold price and silver price should be absolutely in the toilet. But guess what? It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. The Federal Reserve has cooked their goose. The Federal Reserve has shot their whatever you want to say, has used all their tools. The Federal Reserve maybe needs some of those little blue pills because they're losing their strength. They're losing their sway throughout the world. They are in a heap of trouble. The only thing that the Fed is going to be able to do is print money, right? Devalue the dollar. Take a deep breath. Join me for a second and think about this, right? Since you've been alive, has the dollar gone up in value or down in value? Has the amount of goods and services that you can get, it's been a couple days with this paper, right? Has it gone down or gone up? Think about what this meant to you. I'm 54 years old when you were 14 years old. And my mom and dad gave me one of these, right? I could get on my BMX bike and ride over to the 7-Eleven and I could get a Slurpee. I could play a video game. I could get a candy bar. I could do a lot of things. What can you do with this now? Right? The value has gone down. It will continue to go down, and it's only going to escalate. This is not hypothesis. Okay, this is not make-believe land, right? In 1971, when they took this, right, they stopped backing it with real assets. It has done nothing but go down in value. It's done nothing but steal from the working class, the people that work in this country. That's a fact, right? And now, right, because of, since I already got it up, let's go take a quick look. It's been 30 minutes since we were out here. Because of this, right? 35 trillion, guys, remember, for each 100 billion they add to the debt, that's $300 more debt you owe. I'm talking to you. Most of you are joining me from America. All the people joining from everywhere else, you're also welcome as well. And you can be grateful your government, maybe it spends more. I don't know. But this is real, okay? They are in big, big trouble. And I'm going to show you right now why they are in big trouble. I put this together last night because it dawned on me and I was like, this is big. This, I think, is a good way to look at what is going on right now. Yes, I drew that myself. That's Jerome Powell in the middle. Oh, there, guys, you see me. Hi, I'm over here on the side of the screen. I shrunk. I'm like that kid in, what is that? Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. Hi, everybody, I shrunk. Anyway, look over there. Don't look at me. Okay. This is Jerome Powell in the Federal Reserve. So up here is where we are now. They lower rates. Okay. What happens when they lower rates? Follow the arrow to the right and down. Inflation explodes. And it's not just going to explode because of that. It's all what we talked about, the unbelievable debt, everything else. So inflation explodes. Then what do? Okay, well, even though the economy is still pretty crappy right now, go to the bottom. Then they raise rates. We got to raise rates to fight inflation. Well, what happens if they raise rates to fight inflation? Follow it to the left. It's a big circle. When they raise rates, then the economy implodes. Okay. Oh boy, the economy imploded. What are we going to do now? Follow the circle up to the top. We're going to lower rates. Oh, but we still have this inflation problem. Like we heard last week, inflation's going up again. Inflation explodes more. Oh boy, raise rates. It's a big circle. They are in a box. That's why we talk about, and that's why we have this. Hold on, right? This is not just some funny prop. This is the truth. Oh, look, there he is, right? That's him over there. This is the truth, right? There's inflation on one side and there's recession on the other, okay? The solution is this. Remember, right? Here's a peace dollar. Here's a peace dollar. That's the solution. That worked, right? We put it in there, right? Oh, yeah, boy. No, here's what he does. Here, look. This is great. We're having so much fun. Okay, here's the solution for Jerome, right? The peace dollar. That's what we should be doing. Instead, this is what we are doing. More paper, printing, right? No, Jerome. It's not the way we should be doing it. It's absolutely crazy, you know? Here, let's do a little silver show and tell. Listen, here's 3. Listen, hear that? That's the salute. That's the sound. That's not Rudolph and his reindeer coming to town. That's fantasy. This is real. Okay. Oh, we love Rudolph. And Rudolph's going to bring us $44 silver. And we're going to have a big Christmas morning celebration, or I will eat a crow live on Christmas morning. Okay. Listen. Okay. That's the sound of real money. But pick up some of your silver. Hold it. This feels good. 3 old U.S. silver dollars. I mean, can you believe this one's from 1873 or 8? I don't know. I can't read. I'm getting older. You know how that is. I mean, can you believe that we can still buy these things? You know what life was like in 1873? I'll tell you what. This same. See if I can get it to focus. Come on, focus. There it is. Isn't that beautiful? That same silver dollar today, this same silver dollar roughly buys exactly what it bought in 1873. Do we need any more reason to love silver and gold? I mean, it's crazy. Guys, it's absolutely insane what is going on. Last week was a massive deal for silver and gold investors. Last week was huge. I was wrong. Okay, I was absolutely wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I make predictions. I go out. I said that I thought the CPI, the inflation numbers that we got last week would be down because they would want to manipulate the public for the upcoming election and be able to say, hey, look, Bidenomics, it's working, blah, blah, blah. No, I was wrong. Inflation, and they couldn't even, let me back up. The number they reported, which showed inflation going up, was probably not accurate. We know that on top of the fact that really the real inflation rate was probably more like 5%. But nonetheless, the official number that, of course, we all believe because we believe everything that our government tells us. They would never lie to us. Not at all. No. Right? The official government number went up. Okay? And the real number probably went up much, much more. But why was that such a huge deal? Okay. And we got news that the job market's not doing too well. And we got to talk about Boeing. Did you hear massive breaking news just last night about Boeing? We'll get to that in a second. But we got news that new people that lost their jobs. Okay. The weekly jobless first time, whatever. it was way higher than they expected. So we got news that inflation is going up. Like, we needed to know that. We go to the grocery store and the gas station, right? We got news that inflation's going up, and we got news, right, that the economy's going in the tank. The economy is going in the tank. We've been talking about that for a while. Likely, okay, maybe we're wrong, but we're never wrong. We know that. What that news was last week, what that news was when it came to inflation, it was such a big deal for precious metals because the gold and silver price absolutely should have been clobbered. I was so excited on was it Thursday morning when the CPI number came out. I was like, oh my God, I was like, gold and silver down, gold down $100, silver down $2. They went up. It's a different situation now, guys. We have turned the corner. Okay. It's like you've probably experienced that in your life when you learn a new skill or you kind of shift into a different stage of your life. Yeah, I'm 54 years old. I've had that happen. You probably have had that happen. That's what happened. That is what has happened. And we talked about it early. We talked about it starting back in December of last year. And you know what? We were right about that. But now we're getting piece of evidence after evidence. Thank you, Susie. I'll bring the gong here in a second. Thank you, lovely Susie, my lovely assistant. We've got a piece of evidence after piece of evidence after piece of evidence that we are in this new environment for silver and gold. And last week, to me, further cemented that fact. Guys, we've been through this before. I remember when the Fed started raising rates and it's like that was a shift. Now, well, guess what, Buttercup? Good things can happen for you. And they're happening right now because we're in this new shift. And now is the economy's in horrible shape. The Fed it's going to turn into a print fest. That's all they can do. They're not going to call it QE. They're not going to call it operate. They'll come up with some fancy new name. Okay. And they'll probably do it under the cover of some type of crisis, but be prepared. Okay. Absolutely. You need to be prepared. Boeing, this is breaking news as of last night. And our hearts go out to anyone who's impacted by this. Boeing, one of the biggest companies in our country, from CNBC, Boeing to cut 17,000 jobs as losses deepen during the factory strike. So there's a strike going on at Boeing, but they're cutting 10% of their workforce. 17,000 people. Okay, think of Madison Square Garden. That's like Madison Square Garden full of people with really good jobs, really good benefits, really high-paying jobs. 17,000 people probably making, I would imagine, if you work at Boeing, I know we have a big Boeing facilities here in St. Louis, you're making six figures, right? You're getting great insurance, great benefits, great everything. You're not talking about, gig work for Uber or something like that. Nothing against that. Whatever people do. Hey, I make YouTube videos in my basement. I'm not putting anybody down. Nonetheless, so a Madison Square Garden full of people that probably make between $80,000 and $180,000 per year. That's a big deal. Okay. The manufacturer will also delay the launch of its new 777X wide body plane. And it talks about the factory spike will cut 10% of their workforce as losses mount in a machinist strike that has idled aircraft factories. Will also push back the long delayed launch of its wide body airplane. This is not good, guys. It says listen to what the CEO said. She says, quote, this is Kelly Ortberg, quote, our business is in a difficult position and it's hard to overstate the challenges we face together. Beyond navigating our current environment, restoring our company requires tough decisions, and we will have to make structural changes to ensure we can stay competitive and deliver for our customers over the long term. This is one of the hallmark American, you don't want to look at that now, do you? Hallmark American companies, Boeing. This is like Ford. okay, or General Electric, right? They are in very bad shape, okay, very bad shape, very, very bad shape. It's sad to see, but I think it's also, to a certain degree, an example of what's going on not only in the U.S. economy, but throughout the world. Jeff Christian from the CPM Group. He is a guy who is, I think, respected within the silver and gold community. There's some contention. He doesn't really like people like me. Like, I'm a silver pumper. My hands up. I love silver. I think it's going higher. I think long term in my life, I will see $70 silver. I will see $700 silver. And I told Susie the other day, we were standing in the bathroom upstairs, and we had a little problem. Okay, Susie and I had a little problem. It happens. We're married. I love Susie more than anything in the world. You guys know that. But we had a little problem because I had made a video with a thumbnail that said $701 silver, which was referring to the dollar to silver ratio on the U.S. debt clock, and we got attacked. We did. We got attacked. People were really mean in the comment section. They were calling me a clown. Guess what? I read all the comments, but if I took personally the insults that I get from being on YouTube and making videos about what I believe in, $700 silver, right? From day one, I would have stopped making videos. I've been called every name in the book. I started, you know what? And I thought about this. Think about this. At the beginning of the year, when silver was $20 an ounce, when gold was $2,000 an ounce, and I thought that gold was going to 2,500. People harassed me and said I was crazy and I was a pumper. Well, that happened. Silver's at 32. Anyway, we had a little problem. And I told her, you know, I said, Susie, I'm going to stand for what I believe in. I'm not going to back down. She said, well, some of these people, I said, that's some of the people. We have 20,000 people that watch our live streams, listen to our live streams. If 10 people think that I'm a bad guy because I think that we could get to $700 silver, well, that's their problem. Who cares? I believe, and a lot of the basement dwellers are with me. They believe, you know. And anyway, I didn't even say that silver was going to get to 700 in that video. I said that the dollar to silver ratio had broke through 700. And I clearly explained that during the first minute of that video. But I told her, I said, you know what? And I can look you in the eye and say the same thing. I'm 54 years old, right? If I live to be a reasonable age, I believe that I will see $7,000 silver during my lifetime. Absolutely. And if people don't like that, well, I guess they can not watch my YouTube videos, but that's what I believe in. And I base that on what I believe to be solid facts and solid evidence. We will see some crazy prices in silver. I don't know. Do you think? I mean, some of you believe, some of you don't. I get, but anyway, oh yeah. Well, Jeffrey Christian, and I like Jeffrey Christian. I think he's a very smart guy. And but you know, he would, I believe, if he was down here with me, tell me that I'm a silver pumper and the sky is falling type guy. And, you know, I guess to a certain degree, that's true, but he has some good information. He's like an I think Goldman Sachs guy, and I like him. Right. Some of the people that do what I do have some contention with him, but I like him. He said this is not all good news, but he thinks this is the bad news. We'll get to that first. He thinks there could be overcapacity in the solar panel industry. Solar, right, is the big news story lately in the silver industry, silver market. He thinks there could be some overcapacity, and that could lead to, right, like there's like companies that have overbuilt solar panels. And I've heard stories that in China, some people are using solar panels as fencing in their gardens, right? So maybe there's some truth to that. But I also like to recognize that we also know that in terms of even electric vehicles, we've been looking at data for that and all these other uses for silver. I'm not so worried about, even if there is a slight pullback in the use of silver for solar panels. Okay. He said, and I'm not quoting him here, I'm just kind of giving you my notes. He said that he thinks that we will be moving gold and silver, that they will be on a run into the election. And again, guys, think about this. The craziness from the election, potential issues, uncertainty aren't going to come until after the election. That's one of the big takeaways from this live stream video today. That's not going to happen until after the election. I got to remember to ring the gong. You know what? Let me do that very quickly before I forget. We got 300 thumbs up. That's a big deal. We got almost 800 people in the basement. This is for you, basement dwellers. Okay, what else did Christian say? What else? Buckle up, Buttercup, because now comes the good news. He does think we could be on a run, okay? Maybe a little more profit taking, but we're going to be on a run in the gold and silver markets. He thinks stock, and this is interesting, and we've talked about this. Maybe he would like me after all. Stock and bond investors for the last few years have done very well, but are starting to get nervous and looking to diversify. And they could very likely be looking at gold and silver. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see money moving, Western investor money moving into things like the gold ETFs, the silver ETFs. And it's just starting, guys. And it's not going to take a lot. This is so critical for you to understand. I got to get this through your thick skull. Okay. I got to get this through your thick skull. The reason I say that is because that's what my mom and dad used to always say to me. Yes, I'm hard-headed. I'm mostly Dutch. Nonetheless, it's not going to take a lot. It's going to take an itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny amount of money coming into our sector, gold and silver, and it will make a massive deal. He says the stock and bond investors have done well. They're starting to get nervous and looking to okay, I said that already. He said we've seen that on a global basis, and we have, right, with China, India, right, the world central banks. They're getting nervous. What are they doing? They're buying gold. Now Russia's buying silver. Yeah, and now it's starting to bleed into the West. Okay, U.S. North American institutions, family offices are joining that group. Okay, in terms of silver, right, it could back off a little bit. It doesn't matter. We've been hitting that $32 mark range for so long. Even if we do back up, even if next Saturday, right? Next Saturday, we're talking about $29 silver. I don't think 28, but you never know, right? Even if, I don't think that's going to happen. Silver is still ready. There's so much energy for it to blow through. So it could back off, but he says buying should be strong. I also heard him say, right, that it's that investor demand that we're going to be seeing over the next 6 months that could really propel the silver price. The investment community will continue to buy long, and maybe he's the one that's the post-election period will be more important than the pre-election period. For those of you who just joined us, I'm asking you to please consider helping out a great friend of the basement community, Coin Shop Chris. Let me pull this up. There he is. That's his PayPal address, right? You go to PayPal and you type that in. He's under some serious stress right now. He's in a crisis situation. You know what's been all over the news. He can't even get through on the phone a lot of the times. It's very difficult, the situation that he's in. If you feel like doing something nice, you could donate a little money. I've donated some money to him. Obviously, I can't tell you what to do, and please don't donate anything that you can't afford to donate. But if you want to do something nice, please consider supporting our friend Coin Shop Chris. Hey guys, we have 800 people. It's a big deal. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of the basement. Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you to the moderators, Jake from Jake's Custom Parts, the one and only Annie Oakley, Big Tim the Silvershire, and the lovely Susie. Silver Susie. Have a great day, okay? You know you'll see me again. Can't wait to have you back in the basement. Thank you. Bye-bye.